Recently attended a webinar that was put on by these two people right down here, Jody Bing and Rowan Elsmore from the Bloomington Public Schools. And they were talking about how they established AI guidelines in their classroom. And I thought it was an interesting take that I wanted to share with everyone. So they first were talking about they preferred to set up these guidelines in their classrooms rather than having a district or school-wide policy because they felt that those larger policies didn't necessarily meet the needs of what was going on in individual classrooms. So they talked about how they preferred the autonomy to be able to set up some of these guidelines in their classrooms on an assignment or project basis per classroom. So one of the things they first talked about in making that successful is establishing some common language. So they outlined some terms about different areas, so writing stuff, projects, building understanding, so on and so forth. And they talked about how that is an important piece of making sure everyone's on the same page with what language is being used. But then what they did is they made this outline that kind of categorized most things going on in most classrooms to these 5 general categories. And they made this slideshow that has either an X or a green check mark signifying if AI can be used in those elements within that project or writing assignment. And the way they determined if it could be used or not in these various elements was based on a focus on what the actual learning objective or standard was for that assignment. And the philosophy was they wanted AI to be something that could enhance the learning, but not something that got in the way and hindered the learning. So for example, if it was a writing assignment and they were assessing grammar in the assignment, and that was kind of the main point of it, then they're not going to want AI to be used for that. But maybe topic or genre selection, that isn't the actual standard being assessed. Sure, a student could use AI to help generate their initial ideas and maybe even their outline. But then when we get down to the grammar spell check, they don't want them using it because then that would get in the way of the student learning that grammar piece of that assignment. So I thought that was an interesting way to look at it and really dissect what the purpose of the assignment is and how AI could either help or hinder the learning as the student navigates that assignment. The other thing that I thought was cool is for each assignment or project, the teacher co-created these guidelines with the students. So they got a lot more student buy-in. So at the beginning of a project or assignment, they would pull up this slide and then they would go through it with the students and ask them, do you guys think you should be able to use AI on each of these elements? And they'd have a discussion with the students and determine what parts could be used for AI. They also, I'll link this slideshow. These are all templates that you can use. The only thing they asked is that if you do use them, just credit them, but they said feel free to use any of this content they created.